Hello, everybody. Grab your turkeys and your basters because we're going to talk about Thanksgiving week, getting ready to hang out with your family. There's going to be sports on, and we want you to be ready for it.
It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
Welcome back to SportSense. This is Cooper Epps speaking. I'm a art director and graphic designer in Salt Lake City, just trying to relearn sports from my dad here, James Epps. Welcome back, Dad. How you doing?
Good, Coop. Ready to go. This is a big sports week, so this is fun.
That's what I hear. I do know about a college game that you're probably going to bring up later. I do know about that one, so that's a huge one for this week. But anyways, are Thanksgiving games mostly on Thanksgiving Day, or is it like a whole weekend affair?
Well, it depends which sports, but it's the mega attention, which we'll talk about, is the NFL's game, and we'll talk about those on Thursday. But there's definitely a lot of basketball tournaments Friday and Saturday, and there's a lot of bigger games for college football that move to Friday, so it's Friday and Saturday for some of them. So yeah, it pretty much loads it up. And there's stuff going on this whole week, actually, college basketball tournaments going on. So it's pretty fun.
That's what I was wondering. Do we have to brace ourselves just for Thursday games on the TV, or is it going all week long? It sounds like
it's pretty much all week. And then you got NFL on Sunday and Monday. So let's go. Man. We're ready.
All right. Well, before we get into Thanksgiving affairs, let's talk about some news from last week. And sorry, everybody, I fell ill after a wedding this week. I hugged way too many people and caught something from someone, so hopefully my voice hangs in there tonight. But yeah, Dad, a lot of our things we have in our notes are like intertwined, so I'm just gonna kind of bring up a topic. My storytelling won't be at its finest tonight, but let's just jump into a few different topics. So one of the big games you mentioned last week that you were looking forward to was BYU versus Cincinnati and the college football scene. I wanted to bring up this first to start our mailbag segment and to kind of get into our recaps because I was sent several clips. I actually didn't watch the game because I was at this wedding. So it was one of the only BYU games I missed this season. But apparently Cincinnati fans, and this has happened multiple times this season and past seasons, but they started chanting an expletive saying, "Bleep the Mormons." And they even did a clap, pop, 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 bleep the Mormons. All right, so censoring it for us. But I'm sure you guys can use your imagination on on how to fill in the gap there. So, anyways, it's a shame, especially because BYU's been doing some incredible things for all of their opponents all season long. Turns out there's kind of a committee for that. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, it's I forget I call it Cougs Give or something, but it's all the individual. So there's the National Alumni Association of BYU, and they coordinate with every city they go to that BYU plays an away game. They coordinate with the local BYU Alumni Association, and we did it here at East Carolina, beginning of the year. And each one tries to pick out a different service they can render and for their area, for the other team's community or school, whatever they need. So it's pretty awesome. And that's been, I think they've been working on that for, I think, a long time, but now it's getting kind of bigger and more impressive of what they're doing. So interesting.
Yeah.
What's happening.
I've never really heard about it until this year. They've been getting a lot more press, it seems.
Yes, because it's been kind of bigger. And then one thing was impromptu. So let's go back real quick to Texas Tech, who just, that was a game they brutalized us. But do you remember about the team barber's wife had a bad, serious auto accident? And BYU, all the fans and alumni raised over $100,000 so quickly for them. Yeah. And, that did not go unnoticed by those who cared about the Texas Tech program and really gave just a lot of gratitude to BYU and their fans. And then this week, Cincinnati, interesting enough. So here's my foundational message is Brigham Young University is the church school of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And therefore it's head by leadership of our church. They lead that university. With that, you expect a lot out of our university and our fans, and we should lead out like Christ would lead out. And that's what I love about this. I think this will eventually peter out because kindness begets kindness, and kindness and goodness will win. It might keep taking a while because you have some real ignorant and illiterate. I mean, it just nuts of, and maybe they're drinking, but they're young students. They really don't grasp what's going on in the world. And for some reason they go to the most base lack of intelligence chants.
Right. Not even creative.
By the way, I would say East Carolina, they were like the best opposing fans. As we walk in and out, congratulations, good to see you. I mean, they were so nice, no bad chants, no nothing. So East Carolina, kudos to them. These other schools out west mainly, and now in the Midwest, have shown their tails. But interesting enough, the day before our game, BYU had worked with their national organization of alumni and then local. They delivered through the university and church's help 27,000 pounds of food on a tractor trailer. But that wasn't the only thing. The Alumni Association organized alumni, missionaries, any kind of members they could get, a bunch of youth, and they offloaded all 27,000 pounds and put it into the University of Cincinnati's student food pantry for those who sometimes can't get enough food. They have their own food challenges, right? Yeah. Providing. So we not only provided 27,000 pounds of food, we actually shelved it, got it off the truck, shelved it, and it was a great day of service. Yeah. So how ironic, right?
I read that it was the largest single donation in that food pantry's history.
Yeah, by a mile. So what's been interesting, what's interesting is I did a quick search away from the church, right? Away from BYU and away from, Deseret News. I did just a Google search. And interesting enough, the podcasts, and there's several out there, but I called on one guy. Of course, he said the word, he goes, YouTube's going to get me for this, but interesting. He's not a member of the church. Clearly, you can tell his language and how he's speaking, right? He just doesn't use our terms a lot of times, so you can tell. But he was just mind blown. His mind was blown, and he was really calling out the Cincinnati fans and others. He said, "Look, I will tell you, this university gives to benefit others more than any university, and I would say any sport anywhere in the world." He said, and he named off, he went all the way back to the beginning of the year. He named it all off with our Alumni Association and members have been doing. And so what I think will happen over time, you'll get more of that. Again, we don't go out and toot our own horn, but you've got others defending us, right? Others not of our faith, not of our school, defending us and saying, you've got to be kidding people. You should treat these people with respect and gratitude. And so it was, it will take care of itself long-term, as long as we live by by what Christ taught. And that is, even love our enemies, right? Love those who despitefully use you. You just keep doing what's right. And that wins out.
I love what you're saying about kindness begets kindness. It's not always true. Sometimes the nice guy does finish last, but I think in this case,
in the short run,
yeah. But exactly. In this case, I think people will come around to it. And it brings me to a point I want to mention as part of our mailbag segment, which is, I asked you this over the phone yesterday, which is football getting nicer and are sports getting nicer in general? Because I keep seeing these post-game segments across all sports where the players are just, it seems like there's camaraderie across team boundaries. Like opposing teams, they'll have it out for each other during the game, but as soon as they're on the field or on the court afterwards, they're hugging, shaking hands. So is kindness going up in sports, do you think, or are they just highlighting it more on camera, or what's going on there?
I think it has changed, especially from the 70s and 80s. I even think about professional NBA basketball. They hated each other during their careers while they played. They didn't hang out, as Michael Jordan and Larry Bird said. We didn't hang out during the off season on a boat in Miami, like some of these more recent. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it has changed. I think what we've talked about briefly was too, the familiarity and friendships that are made. So many of these guys have been raised and they've gone to the summer camps. They've gone to the top national. These are the best players in the world on the NFL side. And so they know each other. And in college, they might have played with each other, against each other. And they're bouncing around to so many teams now that they have a good chance they've been teammates somewhere along the way. And I do think it's just, as I told you, it is an incredible brotherhood, especially in football, I think, to go and battle like they do. And though there's only a very few hundred in the world that do it at the NFL level, and there is a brotherhood to it. I think there's some who don't like each other for sure still. You know, they're especially in college, you still see brawls break out, right? I've seen them break out in the tunnel coming out, seen them at halftime. I've seen them at the end of games. They're still bad brawls. So there's still some of that out there, but I do think there's a little bit better. But anyway, just to wrap that up, I'm just so proud to be part of a university. And what's interesting, and it's and I haven't seen it from Cincinnati, but I'm sure they did it too. Each university, it started with Colorado. Big 12 fined Colorado fans $50,000 for their behavior.
Oh, I forgot.
Because they went way over. They did all sorts of things. But each university has said, the presidents and other people have come and said, this is not who we are. We apologize. We greatly respect and appreciate Brigham Young University, Yeah, I'm okay for the university leadership saying this is not who we are, but it's a certain amount of segment of fans that include thousands that appears to be who they are at their lowest moment, either inebriated or just going along with the crowd. I just wish they'd get more creative and do something more fun and intelligent. My example would be for them all to go to check out what the Cameron Crazies do at Duke basketball. You want to get some intelligent, creative cheers and carrying ons during a game. Just seek them out for the last 30 years.
The Duke student section, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Cameron Crazies.
Cool.
That's what I would tell some of these lower-based university fans to let's see if you can expand your creativity a little bit, and kindness and decency. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm just proud to be a Cougar, and I want us to keep doing everything possible to help others as we come to their cities to play and hopefully beat the pants off of them while we're there. I mean, right? That's what the sports part.
Well, while we're talking about BYU Cincinnati, let's go ahead and mention BYU did win pretty soundly. It got a little scary at some parts, right?
26-14. Yeah, I got to. You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, tell us, what does that mean for BYU for the rest of the season? Are they close to clinching their spot in the championship or in the playoffs?
The Big 12 championship. So they play UCF Saturday. Start time out there, by the way, where you are, is 11 a.m. So they don't really love that, but UCF is also traveling across country, and that's not a good time for them. They should put this game away early, right? They should take care of business. Roberts, the great receiver, might be out. He didn't play the second half of his last game. Anyway, so if they win that game, everything's in their control. That's what's nice. That's Cincinnati. In years past, that's the game that bite us in the butt. Like last year, went to Arizona State, and we just barely lost it. That's what kicked us out last year. So all we have, UCF is not a ranked team. They're 5-6 or something, but you can't take them lightly. But they're playing at home, and they're playing a team that is inferior in talent. That doesn't mean that's why you play the game, right? So I feel like put it away. Then they are in the Big 12 championship game. Which, if nothing unusual happens, they'll play Texas Tech again, I think in Arlington, Texas, for the Big 12 championship. They win that game, automatically they're in the CFP.
And if they don't, I heard that there's still maybe a chance that they would.
But it doesn't look good. The way the other conferences are coming out and the way things are working, it's called an at-large bid, and I don't think they're going to get it. They need to just take care of business themselves. So I'll be very proud of them if they just get in the Big 12 championship game. And then I think we'll do better this time against Texas Tech. But anyway, I was very proud. By the way, I got to mention quick, because it is worth you going back and rewatching that game on speed, because on speed clicker, moving fast. they decided to run the Cincinnati. What they could do really well is they could fly up and down the field and score points. I mean, fast, big chunks. They were that kind of offense. But the defense, so it was by design that we just ran the ball to death. And that means we controlled the time. So we had over twice as many minutes controlling the ball than Cincinnati did. That's unheard of. We completely dominated the pace of the game.
Okay,
but
because when you run and the play ends, the clock keeps ticking.
Keeps going, and right? As long as you keep getting first downs, you're grinding that clock down.
Okay.
So we had several drives that were 7, 8, 9 minutes long. I mean, just eating up the whole quarter. I mean,
okay.
But anyway, so that's why you didn't see a lot of high scoring, because we were grinding it out. But LJ Martin, I mean, I thought he's been great, but I don't want to go on forever. He just is the beast of beast mode.
He's BYU's star running back for people that don't
222 yards. But I got to tell you just one quick play. This defines him. He gets stronger as the game goes on, and the guys do not want to tackle him. He is so brutal on them. There's 2 plays he did. One, there's a cornerback, defensive back that tried to tackle him and hit him, and all you see is this green mouth guard, bright lime green mouth, goes flying way in the air, way away, and that cornerback, when it showed up slow motion, just got blown up by him. That's the running back, blew him up, and his mouth guard goes up flying. So that's one. But towards the end of the game, they were just handing it. And the whole thing is the whole stadium, the whole team, everybody knows what they're going to do. Bears are going to hand it off about every time to LJ Martin, or Bears going to run it once in a blue moon. Anyway, this one play where there's 2 plays. One, he ran to the middle, and a linebacker timed it perfectly. A linebacker's much bigger than a corner, right? They're big and strong. He hit him and just collided with LJ Martin. They stood him up, and LJ Martin just did a little spin and was off. And it was a 3rd down. Got a first down, another 7 yards. And he was hurt on one play where he barely could get off the ground. And the coaches were screaming him to get up, because you didn't want the refs. This is right at the end of the game. You didn't want the refs to stop it for an injury, which stops the clock. So he scrambles and gets on his feet, and you think he's going to stumble off the sideline, because they had already ran in a sub running back.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see LJ Martin turn to the huddle, and you see him he reaches in. They're all huddled up talking. He reaches his paw in there and grabs this smaller little backup running back and yanks him out of the huddle and throws him to the sideline. It was
no way.
Does that tell you he is the beast? So I cannot tell you. That was one of the greatest running back performances because his yards, 222 yards, I bet, except for one long one towards the end of the touchdown, I bet 30 of it was after he got hit. I mean, he get hit and just keep grinding. Anyway, so hats off to him. Bachmeier got hurt one time, but he kept playing. He is tough, but that's enough of that. All right. Yeah. That was great. So I'm excited, cool. and BYU fans should be.
Well, thanks for letting us indulge. Anybody listening in some BYU fandom, but
fandom's good. But hey, they're right there in the CFP, so we're not talking out of school here. It's not like we're talking, a team that's not even going to make it.
Yeah, they're big news in the country.
Yeah,
right now,
they are.
Sure,
they're all over. They love Bear Bachmeier. They got a big ESPN. Right. They keep running that same article. They love that. All right, go get them.
Okay. Well, let's just brief recap on. You also called out the Los Angeles Rams versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers as this past weekend's big game. Do you want to mention anything about that?
Only that the Rams are the best team in football right now, and they absolutely destroyed Tampa Bay. They were up 31-7 at half. Whoa. They were up 28-0 in an instant.
Wow,
it was crazy. And so they won. They just ran the ball, didn't even try to score. They won 34-7. They didn't even score but 3 points second half because they didn't need to. They just kept. Yeah. So they and Tampa Bay is going the opposite direction. LA is going up. Tampa Bay is going down. And Baker Mayfield got hurt. Don't know what he's going to be like. But what this is interesting is, by the way, for our Panthers fandom, who play in a little while tonight against San Francisco, don't give them much of a shot to win. But believe it or not, because Tampa Bay just lost, Panthers are in the playoff hunt because they could win the division. They could win the division. Go look at their division standings after this, and they're right there.
That is crazy.
Their division, except for Tampa Bay, is so bad.
Yeah.
It's Atlanta. I mean, they're so bad. It's Atlanta, New Orleans. They're terrible. And so by default, if we could just get a couple wins. Anyway, that's good. That's all. But that's it.
Okay,
that
cool.
was the recap.
Did the Patriots win? We talked about them last week.
They did. And yes,
that would put if both the Patriots and Rams won, that means they're both tied for the winningest teams in the NFL right now.
They should be. Because I got a quick thumbnail of 3 incredible. That's where I got to fit it in right now. Then,
okay, go for it. What are these? Are these some daddy tidbits?
3 comeback NFL comebacks.
Daddy tidbits.
Absolutely, these are 3 quick comebacks. And again, we got to keep moving. But this is incredible. Green Bay at Detroit. I'm not even giving scores. They came back in the last few seconds and won. Kansas City with their season on the line because they're 5-5. I mean, they were all but dead. Came back and beat the Colts and beat them in overtime. Colts had the best tie for the best record before this. Cowboys, they were dead and buried against the Eagles and came back and beat the Eagles. They were, I mean, in that game, they were dead and buried. I was telling you the games that are coming up. And the Lions overcame the hapless Jets in overtime too. But the Chiefs were dead. They were in serious trouble. So 3 great comebacks, awesome game, awesome 3 games that made it very exciting. Cool. But that's it. That's it on recap.
Well, let me just give one tidbit from my end. It seems like I've kind of taken on the mantle of researching the exotic or international sports for us on the podcast. So really quick, I really don't know the story very well, so that's why this is going to be a quick tidbit. But you may be seeing headlines flying around about Formula One. They recently had the Vegas Grand Prix, which I don't even know what a Grand Prix is. I guess a race or a collection.
It's a race. They generally run through the cities, right? They block off all the streets and they run them through the cities.
Sure.
That's kind of what they do. Yeah.
I knew it ran down the strip, the Vegas Strip, and anyways, so really cool for anybody in Vegas. I'm sure they could just look down from their apartment or hotel room and see the race, which is crazy. But anyways, the drama here is that 2 of the top racers, they drive for the McLaren team, Lando Norris and Oscar Pastrami, I don't know. They were both disqualified afterwards because their cars were found to not comply with technical regulations. So it gets nitty gritty. I don't understand the regulation part, but basically that was huge drama. I don't know if they were trying to cheat or just it was careless on their team's part. But anyways, yeah, an entire team was disqualified, which is and the McLaren team is famously dominant. It's like one of the premier legacy teams. So that was dramatic.
It is big news. Big news.
I think I read that Max Verstappen, who we've talked about on the podcast before, I think he won in the end. So anyways,
by default, but because of the DQ.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a little Formula One tidbit. But let's get into what we all came here for, which is, what do I need to know, Dad, before hanging out with my in-laws this Thanksgiving week?
About the biggest thing, especially, let's go ahead and go with the main. It's Thanksgiving Day. There's 3 NFL games, and then I'll get all the ancillary stuff real quick. Thanksgiving Day, 3 games. You've got, and these are important. They're all important games, and I'll tell you why. Green Bay at Detroit. All right, so that's the division matchup there, and they're both kind of had their struggles up and down, both teams, but yet they're right there in the playoff hunt. Big game. Another huge game. I mean, I've tried not to make it the game of the week, and I didn't. In fact, I made the Green Bay Detroit. That's the game. That's my big game of the week, Green Bay Detroit. But the other 2 games on Thanksgiving Day you need to keep up with, and I think it'll be a blast to watch, is Kansas City at Dallas. Dallas just had that big, great comeback, beat Philadelphia. They're trying to save their season. Kansas City's now 6-5. They got to win. They messed around so much. They've got to win, and they're looking much better. Offense still struggling some, but they're looking better. Their defense looks a lot better. Third game is Cincinnati, which we would think they're like 2-8. We're not really caring about that, but they're at Baltimore. Now, the reason that matters is the divisional game, but AFC. But Baltimore, their story, remember, we hadn't talked about much because they started off 1-5. Right?
The Baltimore
Ravens,
did?
yeah, they had injuries. They
Okay,
were 1-5,
whoa.
and Vegas was still betting that they were going to make it to the playoffs. Well, guess who's leading that division now at 6-5?
No way. Okay, they got on a hot streak.
They won
Ravens?
5 in a row, and they're
My
6-5.
gosh.
They should
Okay.
beat Cincinnati going away. Joe
Who's
Burrow,
Cincinnati
Mike,
again? Are they Tigers?
Bengals. Yeah, yeah.
Bengals.
So,
They
yeah.
look like Tigers.
And Joe Burrow's they got a great quarterback, but he's been injured the whole season almost. He
okay.
might come back, might not. Probably will play. But
So are
Baltimore,
those all Thanksgiving Day?
yeah. So you got 3.
Wow.
One,
My
man, and
gosh.
none of them overlap. They all going to stagger. So that's why I'm
Okay.
warning everybody. This is an all day and night
Yeah.
affair.
There's gonna
So-
be a game on
football.
all day. Okay.
Now, in between all this, and I'll quickly, this is just a feed in. Check your schedules for NCAA college basketball, especially men's basketball. There's some good tournament games. They do all sorts of holiday tournament games. So there's some good matchups you'll find if you want to break away from football, right? So don't forget the college basketball. There's some good games. They don't last near as long, and go, especially teams you're interested in. Now, the number one big game, this is what you probably already predicted, for college football this weekend is number 1 Ohio State versus number 18 Michigan. Is that who you picked?
Yep.
Yep.
That's what I've been seeing commercials about it and everything.
Yes.
Just watching our normal TV.
They're pumping it up. And Ohio State, my prediction will be they'll crush Michigan. But they're playing at Michigan. But here's the key. Michigan has won 4 in a row. So even though they're a little
just in their season.
No, 4 in a row against Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, even though they won a national championship. I mean, they keep beating them somehow. So
crazy. So yeah, I know that's
the big promoted game, right?
Yeah, that's a passionate rivalry there, right? Like one of the biggest in college football.
Yeah, and this time for Ohio State, I mean, their fans they've had all the success and they've lost 4. I mean, 4 in a row means 4 years. 4 years they've lost to them in a row. So that's the big game. Other than that, there's all sorts of great college football on, a lot of in-state rivalries, conference rivalries this weekend. Yeah. So anyways, one called the Egg Bowl. Look that up and see who that is. Egg Bowl is Ole Miss. Yeah, it's called the Egg Bowl. Anyway, you'll find some more. But so that's it. There's sports all galore. You can but you know the way to do it if you want to stay in touch and not have to watch it all. Keep catching the highlights on Fox Sports or on ESPN, and you can at least kind of talk up a team that's going on and playing right now. But you'll be prepared to watch
for the younger generations. We use YouTube for highlights. Yeah.
Sorry, whatever you say. I thought YouTube was for Tim Conway bloopers from the 60s. It's from the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
we do that too.
All right. So really, that's all I've got, great. Coop. That's what I wanted to deliver. Oh, I'm sorry. The second best college game is a team we talk about a lot, and it is incredible in-state rivalry: Georgia versus Georgia Tech.
Oh, okay.
Georgia's ranked number 4, Tech's ranked 16, and Tech still has a crazy outside chance to win the ACC. So that's a good game. That's a really good game right there. All right, that's all I got.
So, I mean, okay, I guess. Maybe I'll try to find some stuff to throw on Instagram this week for the listeners, because I didn't come prepared to knowing like the drama of certain players or anything, like these. It sounds like we've got a lot of good matchups, but is there anything I need to know just around the Thanksgiving dinner table about any of these teams?
So pay attention, really find out if Joe Burrow starts for Cincinnati. Big deal. So that's the big. And I like Joe Burrow a lot, but apparently they held him out this past Sunday thinking he's going to play finally this Thursday. That's a big deal.
So you'll sound pretty cool at the table if you ask your father-in-law, hey, is Joe Burrow in the game tonight?
You think Joe Burrow is going to start today? It looks like he's on the bubble and that sort of thing.
Cool.
Green Bay, Detroit just to see.
I was going to say, for Kansas City, I guess you could say, like, man, you think the Chiefs are going to hang in there, get in the playoffs?
They're hanging on by a thread. Can they do it? Can they really beat Dallas? And you got and Mahomes is having a struggling year because I think his line struggle. There's reasons. And so you can say, listen, it's definitely not his best year, but they are scrappers and fighters. Let's see if Andy Reid, I always talk about the coach. If Andy, you got personalities there, Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Kelsey. What more do you need? Yeah. So bring them up again. They're always good to talk about. And for your sister that's going to be listening to this tomorrow, we need to throw in Kelsey, as she calls him. What's her name? What's his girlfriend?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. So as she calls him, Taylor Swift's boyfriend. No matter what she says, it's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. She doesn't say the proper name of Kelsey.
Yeah, he has a name, Ashton.
Yeah, he has a name. He is independent. Anyway, so that's it. Other than that, I tell you, you really want to catch as a part-time fan. Do try to watch before the game start. Watch the pre-game, just a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes. They pack so many great highlights, and then they feature the stories of individuals, and it's a lot of fun. You don't even have to watch the whole game. You catch that, you already got kind of the spirit of the game right there, and then you can check back in and say, well, what happened? They said this. What's happened to him this game? I don't.
That's an interesting tip. Turn on the game 30 minutes early?
Yeah, or 15 minutes. Just get on there, and they're doing highlights. They're catching you up. Who are the key players? Who's out? Who got hurt? Who's partially hurt? Who's playing with a broken thumb? And it's all this. That's their job, right? They're hyping this thing up, and they're giving good information, and they show great video clips. I love it. You get some of the highlights, right?
That's an interesting tip. Yeah, I've never thought to do that. That's a smart idea.
Great.
Well, and let me just give, for those who don't love watching football, kind of like me, I will say, as I've given it, I think what's kind of compelled me more this year, particularly about NFL, is that most of the teams in the league are so good. And it's the evidence of that is that so many of the teams this season are half winning, half losing. Most of the teams.
It is tight.
Which it just shows how close of a matchup all these teams are. It is really competitive, and it's not like it seems like in college football you have the top 10 teams that just crush almost everyone in their path all season, and then there's sometimes a couple really competitive matchups. But that's what I've come to appreciate this year more than ever before, is that those NFL matchups, it's anyone's game that night, and it's usually quite close and interesting. So
like I've said before, on the movie, they titled it On Any Given Sunday. That's what Keaton says. They've had a couple of upsets, so you go, well, how could that be?
Right.
That's why.
Yeah, the fact that the Panthers are possibly going to go in the playoffs is
they got a chance. Let's see tonight, and they're getting better. They actually are getting better. So if they could, that would be an upset tonight. Now at San Francisco, that's the other bit. You want interest? This is something interesting for tonight. You got Christian McCaffrey that we traded away in 2022, in October 2022. The Panthers did.
Oh man.
Oh, so
to San Francisco.
Yeah. So this is his first time playing against his old team. So he's got a few buddies on there, and I love him. That's still heartbroken. He left. But he did what he had to do, and it's been good for him because the Panthers have been in the toilet, and he's had great success in San Francisco. Right. So it was great for him.
Okay. Cool.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal tonight.
Yeah. Well, man. All right. Well, we
got CFP rankings tomorrow night, right? So this is, you guys got to pay attention a little bit each day this whole week. This is a busy week.
It's at least hopefully you guys can go into your family conversations a little bit more equipped to at least feign some interest in the games this week, because no doubt a lot of people are going to have their TV on during Thanksgiving dinner this year, it sounds like. So
yeah, you hurt me by feigning and faking, and that hurts me a little bit. But I understand the mission and purpose of our podcast. So
no, I will say, it's fake it to make it. You fake it, but then you accidentally fall into it, and that's happened to me for a number of times this season. So
nice, I like to hear that.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And have a great Thanksgiving week. We'll see you next week. Dad, I've got a couple ideas of maybe some episodes we can stockpile. We can maybe take a break around Christmas. So if any of you have topics you want us to do that with, and maybe record an episode just about sports in general that's not so current event heavy, let us know. Send us a message on Instagram or text us or whatever, and we'd love to address it. So, okay. Well, Dad, thank you so much, and have a great night.
You too. Love you, Coop.
Okay. Love you, Dad. Bye.
SportSense.